everybody from around the world, and welcome to this walkthrough for the NextGenSprites 1.2 update. There are many new features and changes to cover, so let's move on step by step and let's see what we have. So, scrolling for lava into liquid. This can happen either by the world position or auto-scrolling by time. And this is a really good feature for example, waterfalls and also streams of water and lava. So let's move to Unity and see how this works. And as you can already see here in action, I have here my liquid sprite. And on the right hand side here in the material inspector we have some new properties. We can set the scrolling speed for the X and Y axis, and we have also a toggle for the auto scrolling and also the speed of the said auto scrolling. And currently I have set the X axis to 1, and yep, it's scrolling automatically, no scripting involved or anything like that. Wonderful and easy to use. And I could also go there and say scrolling to 0, but the y-axis speed to 4, let's say, and now we have something which looks like a waterfall. So wonderful. And I could also ramp up the speed here, let's say 3, and now it's faster. But I can also disable the auto scrolling, and now the scrolling only applies by the world position. So let's put this to 3, both X and Y axis, and now if I move around the sprite, you can see that it also scrolls by its position here in world space. If I set this to 0, then you see there is no scrolling. And again, let me set the X axis to 2. If I now move around, it's beginning to scroll. And this is a wonderful feature if you have, for example, a water sprite attached to the camera, which is kinda in front around the ground where the player is walking, so that it looks like you have a lake in front of the ground, and it makes a really good effect. Alright, so let's see. Now we have also a mission which works by default and with multi-channel masking. Alright, so before we had it as a shader feature which we needed to enable. Now it's basically operating by default with multi-channel masking using the red, green and blue channels of the mask. So again, let's take a look and let's see at this sprite here. Let me select it, and if we go to the emission tab, we can see now that we are presented with the 3 layers for the individual masking. For the emission, and it works by looking at the mask at its red, green and blue values. But you can also say, all right, I actually only want to use basic tinting, only 1 layer. Then what you can do instead of using the red, green and blue channel, just make a grayscale image, and then set the opacity, the intensity for the second and third layer to 0, and only work with the first layer, and that's all what you need. So very simple to do, and that's the reason why I have removed the toggle for this shader feature, because if you only want to use just single channel tinting, just disable the third and second channel, use a grayscale image as the mask, and Bob's your uncle. Very simple. Also, furthermore, we have now pulse animation for all 3 emission channels. We can toggle this feature here. As you can see, it's now on, and I have this nice pulse animation here going on. And this is, as you can see, enabled on the 3rd layer. Blend animation is the one which controls. If I set this to 0, then we have no pulse animation. And I could also enable it for the 2nd layer. And I'll set the pulse speed to 3, let's say, and now we have this nice pulse animation on the sprite. And yeah, can also disable and enable it. And wonderful NextGenSprites 1.1 in the old version. It was only enabled for the third layer, but now we have full control for the first and second layer additionally. Nice. So furthermore, we have now, which is I think a very interesting feature, scrolling for the main sprite itself. And very importantly, also the other features like the curvature, reflection, and emission, they will behave accordingly. They will scroll together with the main sprite. And let me go here into the sprite tab. And as you can see, we have now this new feature, enable main layer scrolling. So let me enable it. Now let's say I like to scroll the x-axis to 1. Oh, and now the sprite disappeared. There's a very specific reason. Whenever you use scrolling, don't forget to set the wrap mode for the texture to repeat. This is very important because otherwise the scrolling will not work. So let's change this. Here's my sprite, and it's very simple. We go to texture type, set it to advanced, and if we scroll down, we see wrap mode, change it to repeat, and now it's scrolling. Wonderful. And also the same needs to be applied for all other corresponding textures. So for example, the curvature, I have to do the same. So let's go here, set it to repeat, and now the curvature is working accordingly. Actually, let me make the scrolling a little bit slower. Let me 0.2. Now, as you can see, this curvature is working accordingly. And also we can, as you can see, the emission isn't working. So let's go to the emission mask and set the wrap mode to repeat. And now it's working. Wonderful. So yeah, you get the idea. Whenever you're scrolling, set wrap mode to repeat. Good. And yeah, so multi-layer. This got many changes and also updates. First, we have now a third layer. Before we had only 2 layers, and now we have an additional third layer. This makes a total of 4 sprites in a single sprite with no extra draw calls or whatsoever. And also very important, we finally support transparency natively. No need for the multi-layer mask which you needed to use in 1.1. Toss it away. We don't need it anymore. We now have a true drag and drop workflow which is very artist friendly. Also, furthermore, we can now finally tint each layer individually, and we also have a stencil mask which works actually very similar to the old multi-layer mask. So let's go and take a look. Let me disable on this one here the main scrolling. And here we have this example, and as you can already see, we have some nice scrolling action going on. But you don't need to use scrolling, you just use it anyway how you like. So let me select the sprite, and we can already see, let me disable actually the multi-layer. So as you can see, this is the main sprite, very simple, black and white, nothing special going on here. And once I enable the multi-layer feature, now the true magic is happening here. So first, as you can already see, transparency works wonderful. Actually, let me first set the opacity for the second and third layer to 0 so that we can go step by step. And the first layer, we have here this galaxy with transparency, and it's blending wonderful with the main sprite itself. And I have also set, can here set the tinting, and with the tinting I also can make it darker like this. So we have full control, and I can also set here the scrolling speed, like, I don't know, like this, for example, and so on. And now let's move to the second layer. The second layer is this star field. Actually, let me set opacity in the first layer to 0. Now we can see the star field. Wonderful. And also a little trick, if the if it's hard to see, you can just go to the tiling and make a value smaller than 1, which will actually make the sprite bigger. So if I say 0.1, as you can see, the stars are now bigger. And I've set it to 1, then we are at the original resolution, but the stars then are maybe hard to see from far away. So let me put this back again to, I think it was 0.3. Good. And again, I can set the tinting and opacity and everything. And I also have in the third layer set this shooting star here. And again, it also has transparency, and we can set the tinting for it, so blue or yellow or something. But let's keep it with no tinting. And yes, so let me blend in the other layers in. And as you can see, it's a wonderful effect. The multi-layer feature can be also used for backgrounds, like you have a background with some hills and clouds and everything. So really wonderful feature, I think. Now let's move on. And oh, before I forget, we also have the stencil mask. The stencil mask basically allows us to go there and say, for example, parts of the first layer must be occluded so that it doesn't affect the main sprite itself. But this is something for its own tutorial video. But just let you know, it's here and it gives you full control. All right, so let's see. We also have some changes on the shaders itself. The double-sided pixel snapping in multilayer have been now changed to a soft shader feature. And soft shader means that these features cannot be toggled at runtime. The decision has been made because double-sided pixel snapping multilayer are things that you only set once, and there's no reason why you should disable it at runtime. And so this has been changed to this type of shader feature, a soft shader feature. It also yields less shader variations at compile time, so it helps to keep your project smaller. Furthermore, as mentioned before with the, let me switch back here to Unity. To emission, we have now, we are running at the multi-channel mode by default. And because of this, having the shader feature, the ability to toggle it on and off makes no sense anymore. It became redundant. So it has been removed completely from all scripting and everything. All right, now last step, and very interesting, properties collection. Properties collection. So what are they? They hold data for variations as a physical asset on your project. So variations of settings on your material. And you can use the properties collection manager to apply these variations to your material. And each property collection has its own name, and you can query these collections by the name together with the collection manager. And they're also very easy to use. You just need to invoke the update material and put in the name of the property collection as the argument, and that's it. And the update material can be invoked by everything, by your scripts, by Playmaker, by UI on click events, and also by animation events. So very easy to use, wonderful, and it helps you a lot, especially if you are working for animations. Really perfect for this task. And also, furthermore, you can inherit from the properties collection base in your script so that you can do more advanced stuff and custom things. So let's take a look. You can create your own properties collection by using the create button here, or we can also go here to assets, then create. Or we can just make a right click on the empty space here in the project folder and then say create and properties collection. So we can give it a name. Let's call this, I don't know, tutorial. And now we have a new property collection here as a real physical asset in our project. And I can also, if I like, duplicate it and make changes and so on. So let me just delete these, we don't need them. And I can then set here textures, floats, tints, and features. So let's say, for example, I have here my sprite, this emission, and I like to change the emission tint value for the second channel. So let's make something here. First, let's give it a name. Let's call this emission 2, for example. You can give it any name. You could call it, I don't know, hamburger. All right, let's call it hamburger. And then we can look at the tints, and let's add the size, set it to 1. And now we can target here, let's say, the emission layer 2. I think it was the emission layer 2. Let's quickly check this. Yes, it's the second channel, which has this nice pulse animation. So let's set emission channel 2, and then we say, let's say we like to set a blue value, all right? And we could also go there and say, I don't know, the third channel will be set the intensity to 0. All right, so let's go to floats, set size to 1. And now I can select then here, emission layer 3 intensity to 0. Wonderful. And now let's look how this works in action. So there are many kind of ways we can invoke this. To keep things simple, we just make an UI button here. And where's my button? Here it is. And now if you look here on the onClick event, we can add now a new event. And here then I can drop the sprite. That was this here, multi-emission. And now at this drop-down menu, I can select the, whoops, actually wrong. I'm doing something. Oh, stupid me. Obviously, we need to add the manager. So let's see, add component, NextGenSprites, properties collection, and then basic manager. And here I can set, I can add all my collections. So currently I only have one. So let's set this to 1. Drag and drop. And that's it. And now let's go back to the button, and now I can select here the properties collection manager, and the only thing we need is the update material, and it takes us an argument which needs to match with the ID name of the property collection. As you can remember, it was hamburger. So let's type in hamburger. All right, so let's press play and see what happens. All right, so let me press then the play button here, the button here. And now as you can see, it changed it accordingly to the property collection. As you can remember, we set the emission layer 2 color to blue, and as you can see it very gently here. And we also set the emission intensity for the third emission channel, and as you can see, we cannot see anymore the pulse animation. All right, and I have also another, I think, better example. I have here something related to scenes. Something related to animations, which is also another very important use case for the properties collection. So in this case, I have set up an animation for this dragon. This dragon is, by the way, a free asset on the asset store, and below the video description you can find a download link. And as you can see, I have set up here the animator component, and we also have several clips. And with the animation controller, basically looks my button presses on the left up and right arrow, and then it changes the animation state. And so this one is a good example. We can use animation events to change the property collection on the material. As you can see, I have here an animation event at the very beginning of the clip. I have set up it the same way for the walk and idle animation. And if I make a double click here, then you can see it fires the update material, and it takes the argument, in this case idle, and also attack, then uses attack, and so on. As you can see, the property collections have the corresponding collection name here so that it matches up. Wonderful. So let's play. And as you can see, if I press, for example, the up button, it's now in attack mode, and it changed the curvature map and also some other values. As you can see, for example, the emission has been set to red, and the curvature highlight tinting has been set to blue. And let me press the right arrow button. Now we are in the idle, into the walk. And if we control here, look here at the walk property collection, then we can see the changes that we have made. The curvature highlight is has been set to red, and the emission to yellow. The emission is, by the way, here on the eyes, and so on. So as you can see, very simple to use the property collection manager and the properties collection creation. Everything is very simple and artist friendly, user friendly. And yeah, so I hope you like the new changes for NextGenSprites 1.2, and I hope they help you on being creative with your games, and that they help you to make something which stands out from the crowd. And thanks for watching. See you soon. And if you have any questions, please leave a comment or write me in the Unity forums, or just write me on Twitter, and so on. And if you need help, you can also always look at the wiki, and there are everywhere helper links. For example, here in the material, just click on it, and then it will jump you into the wiki entry. So yes, again, thanks for watching. See you soon, and bye bye.